On Two Wheels this week, Jeff visits the land of the rising sun. He's in Japan for Honda's 50th birthday. And Wayne searches out some bargains at a bike auction. And we visit the Sheffield Speedway School.
Konnichiwa, which is hello in Japanese, because that's where we happen to be, in Japan, the home of most of the bikes that we ride. And this is so that I don't get lost, because this is bustling Tokyo. You wouldn't think so being here, because this is a shrine, and over the way there is another shrine, a little bit of tranquility, but it is a hell of a bustling place. But seriously, tomorrow we're off to the Montegi circuit, which is Honda's new circuit. It's about 2.5 miles away from Tokyo, but we're going there for their 50th celebration. And not only that, you might be wondering, if you can see them, what these earplugs are there for. Well, not only will they have 1255s, 254s, 6s, 504s and all the rest of it, all their racing bikes, they've also got a McLaren V12 as well, which will make an ear-splitting noise, and so you certainly need earplugs when you're listening to that lot. But I can't wait. But wait, I did, because Motegi Circuit wasn't 2.5 miles away, it was 2.5 hours away. Still, it was a chance to see something of this strange and enigmatic country. The rice fields of rural Japan, as against the car-choked motorways and cities where bicycles outnumber motorbikes and people outnumbered everything. A place where bullet trains run like clockwork and bikers run bikes like ours, because if you thought like me that most of their bikes were 400s, what about these? Firestorms to Fireblades, and happy with it too. Still, it's Honda's 50th anniversary celebration I've come for, and no, despite the fancy food and a few very un-Japanese looking dancing girls, it's not a party. This is about a celebration of mechanical achievement. For petrolheads like me, it's the chance to see and hear some of those wonderful machines that shook the establishment to the core. And not only the establishment. Stand too close and you get your ears pierced for free, as tens of pistons play in a cacophony of wonderful ear-splitting sound. Fantastic! But anyway, where was I? Ah yes, the celebration. Back in 1946, Soichiro Honda got hold of some 50cc ex-army generator engines, bolted them to bicycles and sold them to a population desperate for transport. Then in 1951 he produced his first four-stroke motorbike, the little 100cc Dream. 1963 saw his first four-wheelers, the amazing T360 truck and SS360 sports car. Both shared a four-cylinder, double overhead cam, air-cooled, four-carburetted engine of just 360cc. Then in 1958 along came the ubiquitous Super Cub, starting at the C100, then a C50, then C90. By 1974 we had the 404, and so it goes up to the present day. A pair of very nice twins. But this is bread and butter stuff. Over the pit wall could be seen some of the glamour that everyone had come to see. Nigel Mansell and Nelson Piquet's 1986 Williams FW11, a Lotus dressed as a camel, a McLaren V12 MP46 with which the late great Ayrton Senna won the Drivers' Championship, the amazing Formula 2 1-litre 150 brake horse Brabham Honda BT18, and the 3-litre Honda that John Surtees won the 1966 Italian GP with. Even the great Nelson Piquet himself put in an appearance. But enough of these things on four wheels, they were quite rightly outnumbered by bikes. Loads of them. 40 years of racing history, and here they all were, out of the box and ready to go. Luigi Taveri's 1963 5-cylinder 125 with pistons not much bigger than thimbles and revving to 20,500 revs with an 8-speed gearbox to help it along. An RC 115 49cc 4-stroke twin revving, and get this, to an unbelievable 21,500 revs. Freddie Spencer's NSR 3-cylinder meanwhile stood by, as did Jim Redman's 504. There was even the first 250 double overhead cam 4 glinting in the sun, with a pair of very neat leading link front forks too. But what we wanted was more sounds. And we got them as the man waved his arms and engines burst into life, warming up for the grand parade. Mechanics rode, pushed, revved and blipped throttles like there was no tomorrow. In fact, Jim Redman's 1967 504 was almost lost amongst the melee of bikes roaring around the pit lane. Lapping up the atmosphere, as well as the track, was our old friend and ex-racer, Tommy Robb. Busy signing autographs for his many fans, I nevertheless managed to grab a quick word. Tommy's getting a habit bumping into you at these old-timers reunions, but this one's a bit different. This is 50 years of Honda.
Yeah, we're not quite as close to Manchester as we usually are when we speak to each other, Jeff. We're almost on the other side of the world, and of course it's Honda's 50th anniversary, which they did celebrate at the TT this year, and now this is the big one here in Japan, in under the nose of Honda, and the preparation has been incredible.
And the range of bikes, unfortunately, they're now covered up, so we can't actually see them at the moment. But I mean, seeing all those bikes there, nostalgia, that's the word, isn't it? Especially for you.
Absolutely total nostalgia, because the bikes that are out there under cover at the moment, we've been training and practicing on them all week and dress rehearsing them. There's everything from 50cc twins to 1254s, 1255s, 504s, 356s, you name it. They're all out there, and they've all been brand new, rebuilt.
Yeah, I mean, they look absolutely immaculate. When they started them up, brilliant sound from them as well. But tell me, what about you were with Luigi Taveri and there's Jim Redman here? I mean, that must be nice as well, you guys meeting up. As I say, you're making a regular habit of it.
Yes, it seems to be becoming more and more. We're supposed to be sort of easing off into old age, and this year we've been at Assen, Mallory Park, the TT. It seems to be happening quite a lot. But the main thing is the public seem to be enjoying it. This circuit today has had 260,000 people wanting to come, and they can only accommodate 50,000 because of the roads to the circuit. Now, to have to turn away 190,000 people is a heck of a thing.
I was impressed at your mathematics there. So I thought you might be struggling for a minute. But and the weather, how are you going to get? I mean, it's blisteringly hot, isn't it? I mean, I can see you perspiring lightly there, and so am I. I've even got my string vest on. Do you like that?
Yeah, it's beautiful, that is. It really does things for you. Yeah, this week when we arrived, it was very heavy rain, just like England, and for 2 days it was like that, and then it cleared up, and the last 3 days have just been getting hotter and hotter. But I'm so pleased that today for Honda, who have put a tremendous effort into this, they're getting the weather. But yeah, Jeff, for you and I to be out here, it's something just that, a little bit exotic, and it's like switching the clock back for me. The first time I ever won a Japanese Grand Prix was actually 36 years ago on one of these machines.
It's true. I was still at school then, Tom.
Well, I didn't want to say anything about that, Jeff.
Okay, well, thanks very much, Tom, and you enjoy yourself this afternoon. I hope you don't lose too much weight, because you haven't got that much to lose in those leathers of yours.
No, you're right, but certainly it will get pretty warm out there. Thank goodness we're only doing a couple of laps. Thanks, Jeff.
So, bikes fired up and ready to go, Tommy joined old sparring partners Jim Redman and Ralph Bryans to take part in the nostalgia trip that everyone had been waiting for. One by one they set off to do their bit, screaming past the pit wall in the process. Mind you, Jim nearly did more than his bit when the rear brake locked up. But no such misfortune struck the others, and even the more recent stars like Freddie Spencer and Wayne Gardner joined the fun for a mass start and parade lap. One thing for sure though, as riders took a bow, the crowd really showed their appreciation of this unique event and probably enjoyed it as much as the riders. And as the sun set over Motegi on yet another piece of Honda history, 3 race cars signalled the end of an amazing day.
And coming up after the break, Wayne's at the auctions and I go back to school, Speedway style.
So buying and selling a bike can be an absolute nightmare. We all know this, don't we? So what do you do if you want to sell one? Well, you stick your advert in the magazines or in Auto Trader and all these various different journals. Or, alternatively, you just take it down to your local bike shop and they sell it for you. Or they buy it off you. Or you have someone come round to buy it from your house. It's an absolute nightmare, and not everybody's so keen on that process. So, there is another option. There is the auctions. And we've come down here to Mansfield in Nottingham to the National Car Auctions, who happen to have here on a Wednesday night at the end of every month, excluding Christmas of course, a big bike auction. Would you like to have a look at it all? Follow me. There has indeed been a stigma attached to the auction. Well, maybe that was the past. Not anymore. Auctions are a nice place to come to and sell your bike, and a nice place to come to buy a bike. Now, if you were going to sell a bike and you came down here with your machine and parked it up, when you hand the keys over and tell them what you want to know all about it, then simply you have to fill a form in. When you fill the form in, it will ask you some questions. Questions such as, is it an insurance write-off? Or, is there any police interest? Or even, do you owe any money on the machine? Now, if you don't fill the form in correctly, you are liable and you'll get your knuckles rapped. They will shout at you. So you've got to complete the form correctly and you've got to really tell the truth. And furthermore, for you, the buyer, there is a system whereby you can actually give the bike a run. You have 1 hour to ride it around the car park here and check it out. You can check the gears, you can check the engine, you can check whatever you want. And if there is something drastically wrong with it, you can take it back and say, not for me, thank you very much. And there's a little window on this here application form that you will read and it tells you yes or no whether you're going to be able to get a trial on it. So I know what you're asking yourself, how much will it cost me? Well, obviously it'll cost you whatever you bid for the bike you bid for. And obviously the bike is sold to the highest bidder. And on the drop of that hammer, it's yours. Assuming you do bid, of course, above the reserve that the purveyor happens to put on it. And then once you have paid that price for that motorcycle, say £1,000, there is an additional cost to it, 50 quid plus VAT. So you will pay £1,058.75. And that is it. No hidden costs, no hidden problems, just bid, enjoy it and buy one. So that brings me to this next piece. I can hear a bid going through and I'm just going to get my secret bidder to put a bid in for the bike that I fancy. Don't be stupid, not that flipping much. What do you think, I'm made of money? So while he's making a right load of racket over there, I thought I'd bring you over here to show you what different types of bikes there are, and there are an amazing array of machines. I can tell you, I've seen a trials bike, I've seen one of them scooters, I've seen tatty bikes, some seriously tatty bikes, some beautiful stuff, Fireblades, there's even an R1, and then you've got these things, a police bike, because there is an awful lot of different type of people selling these machines. Not only is you, the guy out there, the individual, there's companies. A shop might have a trade-in and he might want to bring his bike down to the auction. And then you've got fleet people, such as these police bikes. You name it, every type of person would sell it and every type of bike will be here.
771, anybody else says 775. But 78 is here, 825, 8 and a quarter, 825, 825, 825 a bit now, but 825 now, but 825. But 825, but 8 and a quarter bit now, but else at 825 and 850. On the B-brake, ending drop. 8 and a quarter bit now at 825. At 825. At 825 now to the right else at 8 and a quarter bit. At 825. Out the way now, but else just on it's at it, then at 825. It stays where it is. Yeah.
I know what you're thinking out there. It's dead easy this, isn't it? I could just go in my garage and get my rusty old heap out, give it a polish, stick a bit of petrol in it, get it running, and bring it to the auctions. But I know what you're thinking as well. You're thinking, how much will it cost me? it'll cost you no more than 30 quid. If they flog it for you, 30 quid. If they don't flog it for you, it'll cost you a tenner. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, I say, for the sake of a tenner. I mean, you know, let's be fair. You would, wouldn't you? If you want to make space for your new superbike or whatever the case may be. So why don't you try it? Simple. Exactly what I did. I had a little bike at home I wanted to get rid of, so I brought it down to the auctions and I'm going to see what I can get for it. Hello? You haven't locked me in, have you? Hello? Well, I've got to admit, I've had an absolute fantastic time. It's a very atmospheric place, quite enjoyable really, seeing all the action going on here. In fact, I would suggest, even if you're not going to buy a bike or even sell a bike, why don't you just come for a ride and enjoy the atmosphere and the fun? Come out with your mates. It's in Mansfield, it's on a Wednesday night at the end of the month. It's going to be a laugh. Right then, so, you're curious, aren't you? You really do want to know how much did the R1 go for? Well, in actual fact, it didn't quite meet its reserve. It did in fact get bid 6,950 quid. So maybe they're negotiating as we speak. And one of the pan-European police bikes, somebody bid 1,950 quid and in fact is riding the thing home. And talking about bidding, all I actually did was a sort of pick my nose, twiddle my ear and scratch my bum. And I've ended up buying this lot. If you want to do something different on your bike, where can you go? Well, you could try this. Of course, it's a track day, yes, we all know about track days, or you might even want to try this. That's straight lining or sprinting, something that you can just turn up and have a go at. But if you haven't got your own bike, or you don't want to use your own machine, where can you go? Well, you can go to an off-road school, you can go to a race day, or you can even try a bit of this. So Louis, Speedway School's not common, not many of them about. How long have you been at this in Sheffield?
We've been at this about 5 years or so, and we've had a lot of people through here. We need to capture young to race Speedway to become professionals.
Right. So what sort of people? I've never done Speedway, and I'm nervous. I'm a bit, you know, a lot of trepidation, but are they all complete novices like me?
No, we get varying people. I mean, we do have a lot of novices because, as you say, it's very hard to find somewhere to ride Speedway, so we have people we advertise and they watch it on the terraces, then they decide they want to go. So we take anybody, young lads, old men, anybody that fancies, you know, making the heartbeats a bit faster.
Right, well, I'm sure that's going to happen. What we're going to be using, we're not going to be using the full McCoy, fully powerful jobs, are we?
We're going to work our way up to that slowly because obviously there's no brakes on the 500s and they're extremely fast. They do 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds, so I wouldn't want to let you loose straight away on one of them.
Right.
So we're going to start off on a Honda 125, which is basically the same bike with a little milder engine, obviously. Right. And then when you've had a few goes and got the technique, we'll work onto the 500 and see how you handle that.
Got the technique, I like your confidence. I've not got a lot of confidence. It looks pretty hard, that track. It's going to hurt, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if you come off at any speed, it's just like falling off on tarmac. But the object is not to hurt you, it's to teach you how to do it. And, and that's what we aim to do, to teach you how to get the basics of Speedway.
Right, okay, let's get on with it. This back end coming out business, I mean, it feels like it's probably moving that much. It feels to me like it's moving that much, but I mean, what's the technique with that?
Well, you are getting it moving, and perhaps because you're such, you know, quite a large size for the 125s, it's just a little underpowered for you, and that's why I think you should have a go on the 500.
So you've not lost it, Louis? I can see there. Still doing it, eh?
Yeah, I haven't. You know, I've been at it a long time, 20 years. It just gets harder as I get older, that's all.
So, 20 years a professional?
Yeah, I started when I was 10 years old, and when I was 16 I turned professional, and I rode till I was 36, so yeah, I did 20.
And what stopped you?
I had an injury where, you know, towards the end of my career, like most speedway riders, and that was enough, you know, I'd seen enough racing.
But you're still very heavily involved here, in particular at Sheffield, with the Tigers. You promote, and it's your dream to bring the kids through, is it?
That's right. Well, I've moved on to management now, and I'm involved in the promoting, and also I run this training school, because to be a professional speedway rider, I like to catch them young, say 10 years old or 12 years old, and you need the enthusiasm, and I've still got that, and I want to supply our team with young riders, young English riders for the future.
Look at this. Red as a beetroot. Well, they are Speedway. Fantastic. You can come here to Sheffield, and probably the same at all the other places throughout the country, although there's only 4 or 5. It'll cost you. You turn up here on your road bike on a Saturday morning, you can play on a Speedway bike and see what it's really like to ride for 25 quid. It's dead cheap, isn't it? You don't need any fancy gear. A pair of road leathers like I've got, road boots, a road helmet will do. Take the visor off, put some goggles on, and you're away. Absolutely brilliant way to spend the day. And if you decide you like it, you might even want to buy a Speedway bike, and that'll only cost you something about 400 quid. And get a decent Speedway bike. It's absolutely brilliant, but totally knackering. So why don't you just do it?
On Two Wheels next week. If your sports or custom bike is tucked up snug and warm for the winter, we've got an idea for some alternative fun on Two Wheels.